Have you ever paused right in the middle of a sentence and just realized you're using the exact same basic words to describe your day every single day? You feel an emotion or you want to explain a situation, and you reach into your mental toolbox, but you keep pulling out the exact same worn out vocabulary. It is incredibly frustrating, right? Especially when you know exactly what you want to say in your native language, but the English translation coming out of your mouth just feels, well, kind of flat. Trust me, you are definitely not alone in this. Believe it or not, linguistic researchers and educators have actually tracked this down, and they found that this massive communication hurdle, it usually comes down to heavily overusing just 20 common words. Yep, just 20 words that are doing entirely too much heavy lifting in our everyday conversations. We lean on them because, hey, they're safe, they're super easy to remember, and they get the basic point across. But they don't help us truly express ourselves, and they certainly don't help us sound as fluent or as engaging as we actually are. So, welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we've got a very specific, highly actionable goal for us. We are going to completely transform your everyday speaking into something genuinely brilliant. We are going way beyond that basic vocabulary that's been holding you back, and we're going to upgrade those 20 overused words into powerful, highly expressive language. Literally, by the end of this session, your daily vocabulary is going to get a massive, immediate upgrade. To make this happen, we're relying on this really incredible visual guide, the Ultimate Vocabulary Cheat Sheet. It actually lays out the top 20 most used English words, gives us the direct Hindi translation just to ground us, and then hands us 3 incredibly powerful synonyms for each one. See, when we think in our native tongue like Hindi, we experience these really rich, nuanced thoughts. But when we translate that to English on the fly, our brains just naturally default to the simplest possible match, and boom, we lose all the flavor. Well, this guide is our map to breaking that default setting and speaking much better English starting tomorrow. All right, let's jump straight into section 1. Beyond basic English, the problem with everyday words. Moving right along to section 2, upgrading your emotions. Stop saying just happy or sad. We're going to start with a group of words that impacts us all day, every single day. Look, human beings are complex. Our feelings change minute by minute, yet somehow we limit ourselves to just a couple of very tired adjectives. Let's fix that right now. When we feel kush, we automatically default to happy. When we feel dukhi, we default to sad. But check out these brilliant upgrades. Instead of just being happy, what if you told someone you were glad, cheerful, or joyful? I mean, joyful just carries so much more energy, doesn't it? And if you're feeling down, saying you're sad barely scratches the surface. Telling someone you're unhappy, upset, or truly miserable communicates the actual real depth of your emotion. And honestly, this perfectly illustrates the absolute power of a good synonym. Take the word for gusame. Instead of just saying you're angry, dropping a word like furious or annoyed packs such a bigger emotional punch. Furious doesn't just mean angry. It means you are extremely angry, like you are practically vibrating with it. It just paints a much more vivid picture for the person you're talking to. Okay, so we've covered happy, sad, and angry, but let's take a look at funny or mazidar. If you just watched a great movie, calling it funny is fine, it's okay. But calling it hilarious, amusing, or entertaining, that makes your recommendation so much more compelling. Hilarious tells me I am going to laugh out loud, whereas amusing suggests a slightly lighter, maybe more clever kind of enjoyment. Next up, Section 3, describing the physical world, size and speed upgrades. Just like our emotions need more precise language, so do the objects and the pacing of the world we navigate every single day. We constantly call things big or bada and small or chota. But think about it. A skyscraper isn't just big, it's massive. A mistake isn't just big, it's huge. On the flip side, instead of saying a detail is just small, calling it tiny, little, or miniature gives you a much sharper sense of scale. A miniature model is way more descriptive than just a small model. Speed is another area where we definitely get a little lazy with our words. Everything is either fast, which is this, or it's slow, which is thima. But if you need something done immediately, asking for a quick, rapid, or swift response sounds so much more professional, doesn't it? And if a process is taking a long time, describing it as gradual, leisurely, or unhurried totally removes that negative frustration of the word slow and actually makes the whole thing sound intentional. Swapping out a basic word like big for an absolute powerhouse word like enormous instantly makes your storytelling more engaging and vivid. I mean, if you tell me you had a big meal, it's pretty forgettable. But if you say you ate an enormous feast, suddenly your listener can practically see the table bending under the weight of all that food. It is all about creating that imagery.
All right, let's look at section 4, defining human traits, describing people better.
This one is absolutely crucial because we spend so much of our time talking about the people in our lives, right? Our colleagues, our friends, our family. Moving away from flat, one-dimensional descriptions is going to make your conversations infinitely more interesting. Let's try this swap technique on some very common compliments. When someone is buddhiman, we reflexively call them smart. But what if we swap that out for intelligent, clever, or brilliant? Calling a coworker brilliant carries way more weight than just calling them smart. The same thing goes for physical appearance. Sundar translates to beautiful, but expanding your vocabulary to include gorgeous, stunning, or attractive gives you the power to be so much more specific with your praise.
Now, when we talk about strength, mazboot, we can completely elevate that to powerful, sturdy, or robust. When describing someone or something as kamzor or weak, we can use fragile, feeble, or frail to pinpoint exactly what kind of weakness we're talking about. And for a really beautiful trait like dayalu or kind, using words like caring, helpful, or gentle really highlights the specific warmth of a person's character. Let's actually zero in on the word robust for a second. This is such a fantastic upgrade. It gives a much clearer, stronger image than just relying on the basic word strong. Think about it. You can have a robust cup of coffee, a robust debate, or a robust immune system. It implies a certain depth and hardiness that the simple word strong just entirely misses.
Moving on to section 5, everyday situations upgraded, the daily swaps.
Okay, let's transition to the most frequently used words of all. These are the absolute foundational words, the ones we use every single day to describe our situations and evaluate our work. Honestly, if you only memorize one section of this explainer, make it this one. Think about it. How was the movie? Good or acha? No, it was excellent, great, or wonderful. How was the traffic? Bad or bora? No, it was terrible, awful, or horrible. When you're evaluating tasks, instead of saying something is asan or easy, try calling it simple, effortless, or straightforward. And instead of complaining that a project is katin or difficult, frame it as hard, tough, or challenging. Challenging sounds like a really cool opportunity, whereas difficult just kind of sounds like a complaint.
Take the word important, meaning mahatvaporna. We say things are important all the time, which ironically kind of makes the word lose its value. I highly encourage you to instead say that a meeting is crucial, a document is essential, or a change is significant. Try it out. You will instantly sound more commanding, more authoritative, and just far more persuasive in any professional setting.
And a word like destitute, which is a major upgrade for garib or poor, completely changes the gravity and the impact of a sentence. Poor is a pretty broad, somewhat detached word, but destitute, that paints a stark, severe picture of someone lacking the very basic necessities of life. It evokes empathy and precision in a way the basic vocabulary simply cannot match. So instead of the basic rich, which is amir, and poor, which is garib, we have these really powerful synonyms. Instead of rich, we have wealthy, affluent, and prosperous. Like affluent suggests a whole lifestyle, not just a bank balance. And for poor, instead of just a generic term, we have needy, destitute, and impoverished. These words actually carry a whole narrative within them.
And finally, section 6, speak better tomorrow, your daily practice.
We've unpacked an incredible amount of value today from a single, brilliantly organized guide. But look, having the map isn't exactly the same as driving the car, right? Knowledge is only potential power. Execution is everything. I really want to emphasize this exact quote. Practice today, speak better tomorrow. It just perfectly summarizes the reality of linguistic self-improvement. Guys, it is not an overnight magic trick, it's a daily habit. If you consciously swap out just one good for an excellent or one big for a massive today, your brain will actually start making those connections automatically tomorrow. So, I'm going to leave you with this final practical challenge. Think about the very next conversation you're going to have after this explainer ends. Which of these 20 basic words will you consciously refuse to use, and which powerful synonym will you deploy instead? You've got the tools, you've got the upgrades, and you've got the knowledge. Step out there, practice today, and start speaking your brilliant truth.